Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Sorry, I was just checking out something, so I couldn't get here right away. So let's see what we have here. Oh my goodness, we have one person with four entry. Stephen is here. Says hi, Mehran. Stephen, male 42 LA. Thank you very much for that. Says online upgrading my phone and I saw you unlock. Yeah, I thought before I go to bed, I have maybe 30 minutes just to say hello and see how everybody is. So hope you're doing well and over whatever verse. Yeah, I'm over that. I'm back to gym and hiking and all that and feel great. Still recovering, maybe a little something in the throat, but no feeling here. Just that don't want to give anything to my mom. That's why I don't go see her. We talk on the phone. But in a couple of days, I'll go see mom. I think it's safe now. Uh, so you're not at work, are you? Or you just finished your shift? And where are the other two that I can see? There are three people here. Just come on in. I don't bite. Well, with considering the kind of quality of topics we discuss on this channel and live stream, I'm really puzzled. Why is it that when I open for live, we have three instead of 300? I honestly don't. Maybe YouTube just simply doesn't send notifications. I don't know. I got to find that out because that's unheard of. Steven says, I worked last night in the emergency room. There was a nurse who kept looking at me, and she had to be in her early 20s. She was very pretty. And for some reason, I had this doubt that she liked me. You don't need to know if she likes you or not. If your gut tells you that you like to get to know her, take initiative. Say, I hope you had a good evening. I hope the workload is not overly much tonight, or something like that. And say, and if she says, well, I'm a little bit tired, she says, don't worry, you'll be fine. A positive energy, and that's it. Don't have to ask her phone number. Initial getting to know her, and that would be a positive notion towards her, and she will feel good. She will remember that there was somebody who cared but didn't ask for anything. And the next time when you see her, says, how are you? How is today for you? And again, that's enough. Few times like this, and you guys become a little bit acquainted. Then you see how that feels. And so it's like a lost confidence or something. Yeah. But you see, when you go in to ask a girl out, you don't have to go expecting a conclusion that this has to go a certain way, otherwise I'll be disappointed. Go in knowing that there is a 50% chance at least that she might not, for whatever reason, don't like you, or is in a relationship, or just got out of a relationship, or has had a bad experience with relationship, or she's not in the mood, or whatever else, she might not reciprocate. And if that would be your state of mind, that would be okay. She's a human being, and my worth and value is not in her hand if she likes me or not. For that reason, I would feel good or bad. If you can handle that and understand that, it'll be awesome to ask someone or compliment someone or say something positive to someone. There is no expectations. Therefore, if there is no expectations, there's no disappointment. Disappointment always comes when? When there's an expectation. If you don't expect that she would definitely agree with you, that she wants to go out with you, give you her phone number, then there's no expectations and you don't ask for it. everything is safe. So you don't need much confidence, if you even think you've lost your confidence, to just talk to a girl. If you don't want anything from that girl when you talk to her, well, you may inside, but you're not really, wording it out, then it'll be a pleasant experience just to interact with some beautiful female. What's wrong with that? But once you start hoping for a certain conclusion, certain result from that effort, then you're setting yourself for disappointment and the rest of it. Oh, I'm not valuable, because you've put the brush to paint your picture in somebody else's hand. Because I've come across so many other girls here, made me realize there's so much out there. Thank God that somebody realized that, because I hadn't realized that. Just looking that way because the ugly stick is there. So just looking for excuse. She says, and Stephen says, okay, I'll look at things like that. Yeah, of course. Excellent. And Siafika Izati says, I'm working and glad to catch you live. Well, thank you very much. Where are you? And let me know your age, gender, where you're tuning in from. And Stephen says, also, I have a couple of friends that do jujitsu. You think that would be good getting into? Depends if they are, the class has a good teacher and they're not there to show off to a new guy and kind of damage him because they want to express themselves how good they are. It depends what kind of discipline is in that dojo. If the teacher has taught them that there's no show-offing, power-mongering, and it's always sharing to learn and teach, then you'll get a hang of it, unless they want to do a certain technique to you and break you, something just to prove they're that good. Then that kind of a situation, no. Well, go ahead and talk to the teacher and see what kind of expectations and what kind of a regimen there, schedule there. Yeah, if you like to. There's so many other things. There's so many other martial arts. And jiu-jitsu is okay. Again, depends on the teacher and the environment and the mentality of the ones who are going to be partnering up with you to practice. Stephen says, that makes sense. I'll have to do my research to find a good place. Yeah, good. And Siafika Izati says, I'm 31 from Malaysia. Oh, Malaysia. I've heard it's a beautiful place. Beautiful place. Lovely. Malaysia, is majority of the religion there is Muslim Islam? Or is it 50-50 like Christianity and Islam and Buddhism and all that? So we now have whopping 4 people. There's only 2 zeros missing in front of it. Then we'll be somebody. I wonder why my table has moved away so there's no light in my eyes. I guess because I sit here and do my things and I got my foot touching this table and eventually pushes it further and further on the other side of the carpet. All right. Stephen says, I'm surprised there's not many here tonight. There's not many any night, if you notice, Stephen. You've been with this channel for a long time. There used to be, we had like 40 people or 32 people at least at the beginning of the live streams. Now that we have lot more experience, a lot more content, a lot more videos, and a lot more expanded into other avenues and topics such as OCD and OCD subsets and neuroscience and all this thing. Like, nobody knows about us. I really don't know what the fudge is going on. Steven says, lol, somehow the notifications aren't going. I guess so, because I can't for the life of him figure out why a channel that has 27,000 subscribers, and every month we get like, 70, 100, 150, 200 new subscribers. Why is it that nobody shows up when we have live, but yet I've got ton of comments that they're asking questions? Well, come to live stream and ask it. I can't be writing them down every time, just keep typing all day long. So, Siafika Izati says, yes, majority is Muslim, as I am. Oh, okay, then I was right. Steven says, Miran, this can be like a free YouTube one-on-one Skype. Yeah, you fuckers. Cheap asses. Where the where the super chats, goddammit? Always freebie. I mean, this channel has got a famous, it's famous for freebies. All the comments are questions, and I do make time to answer them all. And the live streams are free. and everybody finds, well, if there's live stream and it's free, why should I make an appointment to talk to this guy paying for it? Well, fuck you guys. I will just stop this shit and no more live stream. If you want to survive and get support from this program, it won't happen. If I'm just so gracious and generous about time and the knowledge sharing, this channel will die because we have no support. And Steven says, or maybe all your subscribers are on our time zone and sleep. Yeah, possibly. Well, some of them, I mean, North America is big, although there are many of them in Europe and India and so on. But for example, for India, they're all awake now. Even they don't know that I'm alive. Otherwise, we'll have like at least 100 people here just from India because it's morning there. And Iran cannot see it because their connections are cut. Stephen is now trying to up the ante. See, I got to push you guys to spend some money on your channel. God damn it, this is your own channel. You don't support it, it'll die. There you go. Stephen is considering this kind of embarrassed for everybody else, and he's just pulling the weight of everybody else, and he just contributed $10 super chat. Very generous of you, Stephen. Thank you for your support. The channel thanks you. And Old School says, hi, Mehran. You're either up later or very... I know. Where are you? Let me know age, gender, where you're tuning in from. Yeah, that's right. Then I'll answer you. Right now, I don't know enough info. Yeah, it says you're either up late or very early. Oh, sorry about that, guys. Today I had a nice hike at this forest. It's about if you're fast, 30 minutes. If you're slow, 45 minutes. Through the forest, very nice and serene and tranquil and beautiful. And it goes to the Cleveland Dam, where it's very scenic, all green mountain around, and you can see the two lions towards the, far away on the mountain. And so I had a good time. I went by myself, alone. I enjoyed it. And then I went to the gym and did stretching because I had to fix my hamstrings. I told you guys last time maybe that it was excruciating pain, and I learned that the hamstrings are connected to biceps and triceps. I didn't know. And because of it not moving while I was sick, all the erectors were shortened, I guess, or the hamstrings, the long head muscle, the hamstrings were shortened. So anything I did, it would pull the muscles like it wants to tear it apart. It was very painful. But then I researched and learned how to stretch it. Sure enough, 1 hour stretching, excruciating pain while stretching, but paid off. Pain went away. I sleep like a baby, no problem laying down. So I did my stretching today, and then I said, to hell with it. I'm not going to do exercise or weight training because I don't know, when I weight train 7 days a week, creatinine is increasing, and my kidney had to get rid of it, and therefore it could cause my GFR to go down. And because I take blood pressure pills, maybe that has something to do with it, or maybe I didn't drink enough water, or however, it freaks me out. So I reduced my training workout just to make sure that this is regulated, and then I do a blood test, and hopefully if GFR is back to where it's supposed to be, then I know that it's all right as long as I have enough water. Sometimes I don't feel like water, but sometimes I remember I should. And Steven says, no problem. I actually owe you more if you really think about it. You sure goddamn do. But you're, but you're a good guy. You're a great guy. And I love helping you. And I want you to be happy. So it's all good. Old School says in UK, it's 9 a.m. here. Sehr gut. And Steven says, I'm sure it's nice out there where you live. It is actually. The temperature is pretty good these days, and we just, we just hope for more freedom and more respect for our democracy and Constitution and Charter of Rights, and this government has not respected that, in my opinion. And I'm sure many agree with me. So otherwise, it's a great country. Nature is beautiful. I mean, for the past 43 years I've been here, I enjoyed freedom, I enjoyed democracy, I enjoyed everything about this country until the last few years where we have this new prime minister. Things were hunky-dory. But in my opinion, we hope to have to vote a different party and have a different prime minister who feels democracy and the way of life in Canada as it has been for years is important, and it deserves protecting, and the Constitution must be upheld, and Charter of Rights must not be degraded or stomped on, and it has to be a fair country as it used to be. And I don't think we are living in such a free country anymore. So let's hope for the best. Let's hope for an election, and then we'll be able to see the will of the people. Siafika Izati says, I went through a breakup a few months ago. The breakup was out of sudden? You mean all of a sudden? All of a sudden, and my ex started dating 2 weeks after. 2 weeks after breakup. And now in a serious relationship with a new girl. I'm sorry? What happened here? Did I miss it? Did you say? You see, you never said you're male or female. That's why. You just said, I'm 31 from Malaysia. I said gender, age, and where you're tuning in from. Can you guys be forthcoming with information, so at least I know who I'm talking to. All right. Siafika Izati says, I discovered your channel, which has been tremendously helpful. Thank you, Miran. You're quite welcome, dear. So you're a girl and you broke up with your boyfriend, and it happened, as you think or as you say, very suddenly. And then 2 weeks after the breakup, he's in a serious relationship with a new girl. Have I read this right? Is that what you mean? Let me know if I have gotten the story right. You had a boyfriend, you broke up, and it happened suddenly, you think, and 2 weeks after breakup, he's with a new girlfriend in a serious relationship. Am I right? And Steven says, thank you, you're welcome. Blank Earth says, hi, this Trent, age 25, Maryland, USA. Oh, great. What are you doing up so late? You can say all the same thing you're doing. Maryland is like 3 hours ahead of us, right? So if it's, what is it? If it's 1:15 here, you're like 4:15 there. Yeah, so I repeat, what the hell are you doing up so late? And Saifika says, you're right. He broke up with me out of nowhere. Okay, now let me address this a little bit so you will get a better picture. This didn't happen out of nowhere. This guy have been seeing this girl for a while, and then eventually decided to have a relationship with her. And for 2 weeks after the breakup, you didn't know, he was maybe downplaying it, but eventually he already knew the girl, they knew each other, because 2 weeks after a relationship breakup, pretty much nobody finds another partner which would be a serious relationship, as you say. So this didn't happen out of nowhere. This was in the works. You just didn't know about it. So the asshole is probably has been thinking about it and and planning, and so you shouldn't even think about it for a second, because he didn't deserve to have your attention. These sort of people who don't have the guts to actually come and talk to their partner and tell the truth that, look, I've changed my mind, or I've met another girl and I want to pursue a relationship with her. I'm sorry that this happened this way, but I want to be honest with you because you're such a gracious person and we had a good relationship, and I don't want you to think of me as an asshole that I am, but I just want you to think of me as half an asshole. At least this would be some kind of a understanding. But when they actually pretend that there was nothing going on and it's just happened they pretended that way, well, then once you find out, which I think that's the case, you should simply be rest assured that you just dodged the bullet, because this guy would have done this eventually someday because he doesn't have enough class, clarity, or maturity to be able to communicate or to know what the hell he wants, and not pretend that he's with one girl and then working on another girl. So you've got no guilt here, and you just happen to have a bad experience. And this person doesn't deserve a moment of your thoughts in regards to your values, your attention to that, or what happened. A jerk simply arranged to meet another one, and he did. So the rest of it is done. And Siafika says, you're right. He broke up with me out of nowhere. Yeah. It says, Siafiko says, no, Miran, it really happened after the breakup. The new girl is my friend's friend, and she added up him on Instagram. Then they started dating. Added up, okay. He told me that it is faith for her to appear nowhere. It might be as you said, but I don't buy that because these things don't happen like 2 weeks after breakup. Why 2 weeks after breakup? Why would you say it's after breakup? Why not they knew each other earlier? I'm not sure, but it's a possibility. Coincidence. 2 weeks after breakup. Why not sooner? Why not later? I think because they couldn't hold it more than 2 weeks. Anyhow, it doesn't matter why. Once a breakup happens, guys, one of the problems with every one of you guys is that the ones who get stuck on it is that they're looking for why. It doesn't matter why. What it matters is that the person who's not with you or broke up the relationship, or somehow the relationship is broken up, then it doesn't deserve your attention. That's all. Why? Who cares? The fact is that you guys are not together anymore. If you're not together anymore, you got to find a way to move on rather than keep looking back and say, why? Who cares why? The fact is that now you got a remedy and get yourself out of this, mud puddle that you parked your car and sitting and possibly thinking about it, and move on, because life is far bigger than one relationship and one experience. There's so many opportunities out there that you got to explore. And unless you cut the rope from the dock on your boat, you cut this cable that is holding your boat to the dock, unless you cut that, you can't paddle and you can't turn the engine on to go and search and see other islands. You'll be stuck at the dock. Meaning, unless you start moving forward and meeting other people, this will end up being in your memory, and you will have selected moments of the relationship in your memory, and you will feel the memory will give you comfort, as it seems like everything is the same in the memory because the brain cannot tell the difference between virtuality and actuality. So you'll keep going into the memory because the order of life, as it used to be when you guys were together, is still recorded in the memory. So in the memory, that order exists where the brain using that order feels secure. So you keep going into the memory and you feel secure. And while you're there and enjoying the security in the virtual world, he's there and you keep seeing him, and then you will end up missing him, because once you see him, the prerequisite file for desire to be born, which is also recorded in your brain, triggers open, and all the steps for desire to be born is already registered there in the memory, recorded, and the brain doesn't know that this is just a memory file, thinks that all the prerequisites for desire to be reborn has now been met. Because it doesn't have a sense of time, it thinks everything is new. All these criteria that needed to be met for desire to be born has been met. And then the desire is reborn, and you think you're missing him. No, it's because you went into the memory, you stayed in the memory, and the brain started being triggered by the file that has all the prerequisites for desire to be born. And brain can't tell the difference, thinks it's all fresh, refreshed, and then the desire for that partner is reborn again. Then you got to deal with it. So the best thing for you is to move on, create a new order in the actuality of life. So your brain, you don't have to go in the memory to feel comfortable and safe, because you have a new order out in the actuality of life, which your brain, through that order, new order of life, which comes from new routines and new mechanical processes, which are the things that you do during the day, new friends, new hobbies, new things. You create new routine, and new routine creates new order. And from that order, mind finds security in the actuality of life rather than going into the memory, finding a recording of the order that used to be and feeling secure there. Once a new order established out in the actuality of life, the brain doesn't go in the memory anymore. So therefore, the trigger for desire file is not happening. Therefore, you don't miss or think that, oh, he was the greatest or she was the greatest, whatever the case may be. And you will be able to move on and experience new things and feel wonderful again. So let's see who we have here. We have OGM says, let's give back to Mehran, please share the channel. Yeah, please do share the channel. I really would appreciate that. And we have, let me go back to where we were. I must have missed someone's. Okay. Blanket says, hi, this is Trent, age 25, Maryland, USA. And then he says, some stranger online told me, who are you and why should you be loved and cared for? It was the most hurtful thing I ever heard someone say to me. First of all, what do you mean someone online told you? A stranger? How could a stranger be in contact with you? What was the situation? Can you help me understand? And regardless, it doesn't, what do you mean, who are you? You should have said. Who are you to tell me what I expect should not be expected? My expectations of others is based on the values that I run my life with. I have standards. I expect those standards to be met. So one of the standards would be, if I'm in a relationship, I want faithfulness. I want attention. There are many things that I want in that interaction. So if a stranger comes and tells you, who are you and why should you be loved? You tell them, well, why should not be loved? Do I have to be somebody to deserve love? I am giving love to whoever I feel they deserve my love. But is it them who actually deserve my love? Or is it me who graciously offering my emotions to them? So why do I have to qualify in a certain way to deserve somebody else's love when love is free and I give it away based on what makes me happy just to be in an interaction with that girl, let's say? So instead of you being affected by a comment of some idiot, why don't you question the comments of an idiot? We are accustomed to answer or to be affected by everybody's question and thinking when a question is asked, I got to answer, rather than saying, what the hell kind of question is this? Who are you to ask such a question from me? I'm entitled to expect whatever it is that I want to expect. I may or may not get it, but I'm entitled. I don't have to be anybody to expect to be loved or not to be loved. Why shouldn't I be loved? Maybe you, the stranger, don't find yourself qualified or good enough to deserve love from anybody else. But that's not my case. I know who I am. I know what I offer. And I know that I'm trying to make the best version of myself. And if you don't think that you deserve to be loved, well, that's your problem. That's on you. But trying to project it on me, I don't have to answer to you who I am, and I don't have to be anybody to be loved by someone special. So there is no merit in that question. My question to you is, why did you get affected by such a nonsense? What kind of question is that? Who are you that you should be loved and cared for? What the fuck is this? Where does this guy come from? From some fucking la la land? So you got to look at it as what is the credibility of this question rather than being affected by every comment of a Tom, Dick, and Harry. And yeah. Well, you see, the thing is, if somebody says something to you, you think that they must have a point. No, some people are just arrogant, idiot, stupid jackasses. Why do you have to think that their comment should mean or value have any value to it at all? Because you consider yourself less than the others and your opinion and expectations to have to be qualified rather than it's expectations you have. As many girls have expectations that you should be this way or that way, otherwise they will not be interested. And you have your standards that you expect some girls to gotta be this way or that way, otherwise you wouldn't be interested. So one of them would be to be loved and cared for. Simple, just as what the others expect. So having said that, don't give a shit about these sort of things. Don't be affected, because uttering an opinion of somebody else does not describe you and it's not a reflection on you. It's a reflection of their own stupidity. Why would you be affected? And Siafika Izati says, okay, we talked about that one. We got that one. And OGM says, Mehran is the best. There we go. There's my promotional manager. And remind me, OGM, about your gender, age, and where you're tuning in from, please. OGM says, let's give back, Mehran, please. Okay, yeah, let's share the channel. I'll appreciate that. Says, this man saved my life a year ago. Oh, I did. Well, gracious of you to share that with us and made me man up. Good. Delighted to hear that. So I was lost in despair after a bad breakup. Good to hear. Thank you for sharing that. Made my evening, dear. And Steven says, I'm doing much better, Mehran, but my OCD at times comes to play and I have to recognize it. I know there is so many opportunities out there, but at times doubt comes, which is a negative thought. Best way to handle it? When you know that you have an OCD, and I explained to you that what you're doing with yourself, what you've been doing with yourself is stimulating the goal finding center, the need for compulsion of an obsession, which in your case is pure O, meaning it doesn't have a physical, physically involved for compulsion. It's mental, it's intrusive thoughts, it's mental compulsion, meaning thinking about a certain obsession. That itself is the compulsion, but it's in the form of non-physical reaction. It has no physical activity to consider that compulsion. It is mental. So what you have done is, when you constantly done the compulsion for the obsession, which is thinking about why she did this, why she treated me that way or whatnot, and then you come to a certain kind of a conclusion, somewhat quasi, semi, half-ass kind of, and then it gives you a certain kind of a relief that, she's not worth it, or the hell with her, she's an asshole, or this is why, or that is why. That itself causes a second center in striatum in the midbrain basal ganglia to secrete dopamine, because you're now a bit calmer and satisfied than when you had the obsession and you hadn't done the compulsion, which was the thinking about it and calculating and, data hunting about it. And then, because you did this so often, at the same time that you would do a compulsion for the obsession, the thought thingy, and while it would stimulate the reward center to secrete dopamine, it was also stimulating the habit center, because these three centers are right on top of each other in the striatum. So every time you did the compulsion for the obsession, you got the dopamine. And every time that this thing continued for so many times, you got hooked on the dopamine. You got addicted to dopamine. So no longer you were aware that you're doing the compulsion for the obsession. You were actually doing the compulsion to get the dopamine because you're not addicted to that moment that, okay, I solved something. Oh, that was the reason. Or she's a shithead. Or some kind of a, comfortable setting through your thoughts. And then for, a few hundred times or 1,000 times doing this and getting the dopamine, then at the same time, you've been stimulating the habit center. So no longer you're aware that you're doing it for maybe obsession or getting a dopamine, but instead you're oblivious to all that and you're doing it without thinking because that has become your habit. That is what's happened to you, Stephen. You have turned this regurgitating type of thing, a thinking, continuous thinking, into a habit. And no longer you really know, even though you tell me, I don't want the girl, but you keep doing this because this has got nothing to do with you wanting the girl or not. You've turned this to a habit since you've constantly been rewiring the brain through neuroplasticity and becoming good at thinking this to the point that it became your habit. So this is what you have to stop by understanding what is doing to you. And then, of course, we talked about the downregulator of the synaptic neurons. When they're stimulated hard and long enough, then they will die. And for them not to die, they'll downregulate. When they downregulate, you got to up the thinking, which is like up the drug to get the same effect of getting the dopamine. And they keep downregulating again, and you keep up the thinking and more frequent thinking, and they downgrade again before they die to the point there would be no receptors to feel and understand and signal for secretion of the dopamine. And that's when you get addicted, because you're constantly thinking about her and you get no satisfaction because the synaptic neurons have been downregulating to save themselves, not to be stimulated too long and too hard, so they will not die. And that's why you keep thinking more and more to get the same kind of a relief. And eventually you see nothing's happening. That's why you become desperate. You think you got to think more and more and you get no satisfaction. That's when you're addicted. So you have to understand that you need to let go this topic. Who the hell she was, what she did, what she didn't, it doesn't matter. All it matters is that she was an asshole or she was not suitable to you. If she was suitable to you, do you think the equation of you guys being together would not have stayed together? Because she wasn't suitable for you, that's why the relationship didn't work out. It's a law of nature. If it's a land or a dirt that has got enough nutrients to be able to grow this fruit tree, so the fruit tree would grow. But if you put the seed of the tree there and it doesn't grow, that means the soil is not rich. It doesn't have enough nutrients to support that tree. So what are you going to say? The seed is bad. It just means doesn't matter what is not. The fact is that it's not going to happen on this, meaning it's not meant to be because it's not happening. It's not suitable. Environment is not ready to support this tree. That's the law of nature. So the same thing. If she was the right girl for you, you guys would be together. The fact that you guys are not together, that means it wasn't suitable match. Does that make sense to you? You're trying to find a reason. And I'm trying to tell you, there are no reasons, or at least no need to look for them. It doesn't matter. All it matters is the actual result and the conclusion to this relationship, which is a breakup. And because the conclusion is breakup, that means it wasn't going to work. Because if it was supposed to work, meaning you guys were compatible, there would be no breakup. You guys would be together. Since there is a breakup, it shows you the law of nature. In this case, was that it wouldn't stick. So you got to let it go. It doesn't matter why. And you know the reasons anyhow. So let's go on to Siafika Izati says, the night before breakup, he said he wants marry me and then leave me the next day. Started dating a new person 2 weeks after. Well, obviously he's crazy, not balanced. Who in the right mind would say, I want to marry you, and then goes and breaks up the next day? He's an asshole. He's an idiot, unbalanced. So you lucked out. Why would you want to spend the rest of your life with someone who has got no reliability? You can't count on him. What, did you want him to do this when you were pregnant and with a couple of kids? Then he would just be one of those people who would just use you and dominate you, and because every time I'm going to threaten you that he's going to leave you. And he would have. If he is leaving you at the height of love, as he says he wants to marry you, that must be really important feelings there. But yet he leaves you the next day, he's imbalanced. So you lucked out that you didn't end up with this guy, because he would have done something crazy at some point in your married life with him. So go count your stars. Go pray. Go and celebrate. Somebody up there liked you not to allow this guy to continue fooling you without maybe even he knows it. Maybe he knows it. Maybe he doesn't. But anyhow, you're saved by the bell. So that's how you should look at it as far as I'm concerned. Stephen says, you described exactly what I have been doing with going into the memory and all that BS. Yeah, I know that. That's why I get the big bucks. You see that $10 super chat that I got from somebody? I don't know who it was. That's because of all this knowledge. Describing it perfectly. All right. Steven says, I'm glad I took your advice. I was able to hang in there and not quit my new job. Oh, God damn it. I was hoping someday you come to that conclusion. I've made so much progress and doubled my income. There we go. I feel like I've grown a lot in the past year with my career. Good for you. I'm proud of you. This is what you have to bank on and focus on, not the bullshit that you're constantly trying to get some affirmation from some pussy somewhere, that as if it's store your whole entirety of the experience of life into her hands or between her legs. Don't be such a pussy. Move on with your life. It didn't work out. Who gives a fuck? For anybody, whether you're a man or a woman, if somebody has not been fair and respectful to the relationship, the hell with them. Fuck them. All right, let's see who we have here again. Now, say, Kif, why do I have a problem with this? Siafika is that he says, if my ex and the new girl are destined to be together, like he said to me, and if they get married, how do I deal with this thought? What thought? What thought? Why do you have to get married to someone who wants to get married with somebody else and betrays you, tells you he wants to get married with you, and the next day he leaves? Why would you ever, knowing this, want to be with a guy or have any kind of qualms about it when he gets married to somebody else, knowing what kind of person he was and what he did with you? Why would you still want this guy? Why would you still have a problem dealing with anything of this? Fuck him. He wants to go with another girl after having told you he wants to marry you and leaves you the next day. He's an idiot, asshole. And you're just jubilant that you didn't fall for that shit, and somebody out there saved you from this bullshit that he was about to put you through, and you were oblivious to it. So maybe a hand of invisible hand saved you. And Mystic Mac says, hi, a male 30 from Israel. Ah, shalom. Am I right? Did I say it right? And says, let's see, what is this? Says, suffer from HOCD. One of the things that makes me go crazy sometimes is when I see pictures somewhere with girls and man. Most of the time, my attention goes for the man. Naturally, because that is what HOCD does. It brings your attention to something that you're not interested in, because that's the nature of intrusive thoughts. If that wasn't the case, what's the problem then? Obviously, you're a male, you're heterosexual, you like girls, but why the thought goes to the man? Because the thought, the brain, is trying to tell you, if you don't look at the guy, you're a coward. You got to test yourself to be assured. OCD in general is called doubting disease. The French call it doubting disease. That's why most people, if not all, who have some kind of OCD subsets are looking for assurances. Anything that would give them assurance. This business of you paying attention to the guy in the picture when there's a girl there, it's an unconscious way of demanding by your system to give assurance, meaning look at and see that you'll be okay. So you need to look at that same gender because you're seeking assurance. It's not that you have interest in that. You have interest in being assured that you are not interested in that person, same gender. For that reason, the brain is working in a weird way, negative way, says, okay, you want assurance, you got to look to be assured that you don't give a shit, that you're not interested. It's like daring you. And of course, this is also due to the overactiveness of amygdala, wants to protect you because it knows your value is a heterosexuality. And therefore, it wants to protect you by creating all these non-existent emotional danger signals. So brings your attention to something that you're not interested because it thinks that something is going to cause trouble. And because you're not interested in it, so you have to pay attention to it. So it shows you the kind of a scenario of the trouble, so you'd be aware of it. So in other words, amygdala is making you aware of something that doesn't exist. That's when it's overactive, and at the same time, it's part of the HOCD, which is the, causing you all these intrusive thoughts and so on. In a nutshell. Otherwise, there's a lot more. If I want to start from the beginning of the sequence to bring you here, it'll be quite a fair long. If you wish, you can go on my site, mind@seekstruth.com, and you can make an appointment with me for Skype consultation, and we'll discuss what's concerning you on HOCD and OCD one-on-one on Skype. So that's my site, mind@seekstruth.com. And you can go in there, register. For new clients, if you register for 1 hour, I'll give you a second hour at the same session. So we'll have 2 hours, plenty of time to get to know the issues, no rush, and then we go from there. And we have Blank Earth says it was some stranger on Discord. He said that after I tried to share my story about my past, trauma with family and feeling like I didn't fit the bill to be loved. I don't know what the hell this guy was talking about. I don't even understand what you're saying here. Somehow, he said that after I tried to share my story about my past, my past trauma with family and feeling like I didn't fit the bill to be loved. I don't get it. Maybe something's missing. Says he was even like, how can others love and care for you when everything you do is because you act like you don't exist in it? He's a fucked up, crazy ass. Don't try to understand some of these people who think they're philosophers by all the bullshit they come up with. I don't understand what the hell he's talking about, and you shouldn't give a shit either. Steven says, so I basically need to stop this habit. You need to let go this fucking bullshit that you have created as if it's so important for you to have a conclusion, have an answer. Why did you do this? Because she's an asshole. It's like saying, why a donkey is stupid or a donkey? It's a donkey. Why did the donkey piss in the street? It's a donkey. There is no why. The problem is that all you guys are looking for why. Justification, judgment, fairness. What the fuck you're talking about? The Jack is an idiot, cheated on his girlfriend, and the girl, in your case, is an asshole, cheated on you and all the rest of it. There is no why. It's a jackass. It's a donkey. It's pissing in the street. You don't need to have an answer from everybody who's doing some shit around, thinking that, well, if the person knew better, wouldn't do it. If it's an idiot and has no values, doesn't understand proper morality or values, well, it does lots of shit. And you want to know why? Because he's the donkey. He doesn't understand better. His level is not high enough. What other reasons do you think there is? Look, you think they're really logical and smart, and there must be a very genuine reason for the fucking bullshit that they've done. There is none. They're assholes. Simple. God damn it, you guys. All right. Tumorman says, hi, keep the nice work. I want to ask you, how can we master our mind and fears? You want to ask one question and get me going for 25 hours? That's not going to work out, Tumorman. Maybe some other time. Or make an appointment at my site. We'll discuss it one-on-one on Skype. Says, is it right that we are nothing in essence, that if we don't identify with nothing, we will be undestroyable? Identify with nothing. What? How can you? What do you mean identify? You don't have to identify with anything other than your own values. That's all. That's who you are. You are your consciousness. You are the content of your consciousness. There's no identifying with anything. You got to know the definition of identification that you're talking about. You're talking about you're not interested in anything, you don't value anything, but that means you're not existing, because every human being needs to have some kind of a value judgment or value system to gauge if this is a place for him to stick around or go, if this is the food that I should eat or not. If I don't have a fucking value, how am I going to evaluate anything that I want to do? Should I or shouldn't? Based on what? You have a core principle, you have certain values that you set as your guidance in life. And you see if everybody else, your friends or anything that you want to do, activities, are in line with those values that you hold sacred or not. And then you decide, should I choose to do so or not to do so, because they are or are not in line with the values that I've chosen based on the content of my consciousness, as they are important for me to be able to negotiate life through those values. Now, Dr. Schwartz calls these wise advocate, that you have your values in there. Dr. Phillipson calls it gatekeeper, where your values are there. I call it superconsciousness, which is your important values that you hold secret and sacred. Sorry, it's not secret, sacred. And you base your life and you move through life based on those guidelines and those standards that you expect and you offer. So, Siafika says, thank you, Meran. I believe I'm divinely protected and I will move on with gratitude. Good girl. That's my girl. Now you got it. And Tumorman says, how can we get rid of attachment to women and be free? Why the fuck wouldn't it get rid of attachment to women? Woman is the most beautiful thing on earth. Why are we living? We men, why are we living? We're living and doing everything we're doing for women. We love them, we protect them, we desire them, we worship them. They are angels. Of course, they're Satans too. It depends on where they come from, what's the content of the consciousness. However, why would you want to throw that attachment? That attachment is the beauty of creating a family, beauty of creating a strong bond. Attachment is not good when it's not called for and it's an attachment to the wrong person or wrong cause. Then you got to learn and know how to not to be attached by understanding, being reasonable for the events that has happened and the differences in the contents of the consciousness, incompatibility of the consciousness values, and therefore the logic will tell you attachment should be destroyed and not be focused on, to move on and attach to something that is more in line with your values. But why would you not want to have attachment with the right woman? Woman is the center of life. Woman should be honored, respected, protected, loved. Without woman, what this world is all about? What are we doing here? We go to wars for women. We build houses for women. We work to provide for women. We protect women. We build railroad so everybody can use infrastructures, roads. We do everything we do. We're thinking about how I'm going to be able, by doing what I'm doing, to provide and make a better life for my woman, my family. If you don't have one, just women in general. They're the purpose of our lives. So why would you want to be not attached to them? Attached to the right one, yes. Not being attached to the wrong one, yes. But not in general, forgo and get rid of attachment. What do you want to be, a monk? All right. And Blank Earth says, didn't fit the bill to be loved, meaning feeling rejected due to the perfectionistic conditional love or regards. Again, it makes no sense. It's just some bullshit somebody's put in your head. It says their love was constantly contingent upon what I do and how I act, or if I am a particular way, very transaction based. Couldn't live it. Okay, then that's fine. That's reasonable for you to move on. So it's nobody else's business why you considered that this was not a love because it was a conditional love. And not every love is unconditional. It has to be deserving to be unconditional. Everything is conditional, but what are those conditions is a question. If it's unreasonable, then fuck it. I don't want that love. If you want me to work, 20 hours a day and do everything for you and not have a rest or relaxation or peace and quiet or, good conversations and support and so on, or I'm supposed to do so many other things in order to receive an attention love, fuck that. I don't need that. So it depends on what you're talking about. If it's reasonable, then you decide if it's reasonable or not. If it's not, then you move on. I don't want that love. So I don't see any problem with your last paragraph here. And Mystic Max says, yeah, thought to make an appointment soon. We'll do it. Yeah, for sure. You guys are welcome to do it. All right, guys, I think it's been quite a bit, 1 hour and 13 minutes and 52 seconds, 3, 4, 5. And I think we answered all the questions as best we could. So remember, please promote the channel if you will, and let people know in chat lines and Discord or wherever it is that there is such a channel, and these are the topics that we talk about, and then promote it and bring your friends and invite your friends, tell friends, and bring it into the live streams, and let's populate this live stream because definitely is helpful, as you all have attested to that yourselves. So I look forward to our next live stream. In the meantime, be good to yourself and to the others. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Subscribe on my channel, visit my channel, and go through the videos that you might be interested in. Mind@seekstruth.com is making it one step away to talk to me one-on-one on Skype and discuss what's concerning you. I'll talk to you soon.